2020. This time our discussion is still centered on the President's love letter to Nigerians. I'm quoting you now.
No, of course, it's a love letter. Could be anywhere.
On the ease of doing business, the past sector, performance, and poverty alleviation. We have lawyer and public affairs analyst Jide Ologun and public affairs analyst Ayodele Adewale here in the studio. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to have you all join us. Now, let's begin with part of what the President said in his speech, which touched on the issue of poverty. We remember in his inaugural speech sometime last year, he talked about his quest and his desire to take
100 million
Nigerians out of poverty, which is what Nigerians, okay, that's a good thing, but how are you going to do it? I'm still waiting to see how that is going to unfold. Ayodele, let me start with you on this. Nigerians are very desirous of getting out of poverty. The more than 13 million out-of-school children, certainly poverty is one of the reasons why that is so. Nigeria being the poverty capital of the world is still the same dynamics and all of that. From that window, how much of hope do you have? The President is talking about the issue of taking
there's a lot of hope. I quickly read his letter and I saw that he's centering more on infrastructure, education and security. And he talked about the rail system that is going to continue, that will provide jobs. He talked about expanding the gas pipeline and all of that, even down to Focados and all of that, that will create more jobs, particularly direct jobs. And he also talked about education in a way. And I think he talked about coordinating with the governors. And coordinating with the governors means that they will have to work on the Sustainable Development Goals agenda and all of that. If they stick to this plan appropriately well, we'll see a lot of jobs coming up.
All right, I'll come to you, Barrister Jide Ologun. Recently, the World Bank came up with a warning that Nigerians, about a number of Nigerians could sink into poverty if something is not done, and it's suggested that we change our policies. That is the only way we can, ensure that people do not sink into poverty. That's extreme poverty, as it says. I wonder what policies you will be looking forward to this time around, seeing that the President is re-emphasizing his intention to take 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
For advanced countries of the world, research has shown that wealth is created. So what are we doing to create wealth? We have argued so much about the difficulty of providing electricity in Nigeria, but I keep asking the question. We cannot provide it in Nigeria, but we provide this effectively in Niger Republic, in Benin Republic, and probably Togo, to the extent that towards the end of last year, they were owing us about 15 billion naira. And that's another area. When you have leakages in your revenue drive, you are not serious-minded. I mean, can we bring the private sector approach to governance? And one of the things you find in prosperous countries is the narrow gap in income distribution. We are in a country where probably some go home on a monthly basis with over 20 million naira that they probably don't even need because they were comfortable before even going into that venture. And yet there are some who cannot even earn 15,000 naira in a month. And we have admitted being the capital of poverty. That is strong enough to keep us running. Now, let's go to the resources we have, because resourcefulness is key. Why don't we drop this issue of regional sentiments? If we have oil and gas in the Niger Delta, go ahead and develop the refineries there. Concentrate your efforts there. It will minimize your cost. Go to Midland in the US. It's an oil zone. You see the huge investment. You don't even talk about oil spillage there because they are proactive about it. We've said it. The USA has about 135 functional refineries. But here we are talking about moving 100 million out of poverty. Good dream. But we are also depending on Dangote to build refinery that the whole nation will depend on. What part of the market share are we, engaging. You talk about aviation. Are we in the aviation market as a nation? You talk about our ports. Any country that is located near an ocean and is poor is a failing country. Okay. So you need to look at practical steps. It's not just about talking about this. We've been hearing these promises. I'm over 50 by the grace of God. I've been hearing these same promises. Massive infrastructure, high impact infrastructure. How are they impacting us? What are we going to invest on education? The foreigners that have come into this country that are not of the high class HR, some of them cannot even communicate with you, and they are within this poor economy to fight for survival. How are we going to manage them? How are we going to innovate? How are we going to allow technology? How are we going to catch up with the world around there?
Yeah, Jide, Nigerians are going to agree with you that the biggest infrastructures we've had in Nigeria since the creation of the country until now were done so many years ago, decades ago, not even in the democratic setting. All right, now, Ayodele, let me come back to you on the issue of the ease of doing business, which was mentioned briefly by the president. Now, talk to us, because you have engaged with a lot of people, real Nigerians at the grassroots who want to venture into, they have concepts, they have ideas and all of that. How easy is it to do business right now in Nigeria from that window?
Well, it's very easy because Nigerians have a lot of initiatives. If you look at the creative arts, a lot of Nigerians are doing very well and all of that. The engineering fields, we're also doing well, but it's just unfortunate that we do very well outside than within the nation because of our own infrastructural deficit. But reading the letter of the president, he spoke about working with Germany and what they are doing, and that by the time he's bowing out, that a lot of the things that the German government has promised them that they are doing right now will be very fruitful. I think let's give them some more time. And like often said, that the media has a lot to do with this thing. If you keep monitoring them bumper to bumper, showing the people what is happening, using social media, mainstream media, and all of these things, we'll get to correct a lot of things. Talking about, moving to what the barrister has said, yes, Mr. Dangote has created a refinery that is to our own advantage. I don't see government as a business entity. Government should create avenues for its citizens to come and own a lot of these things. So if we have more of the Dangote, likes creating refineries, what it simply means that they are going to create more jobs. You understand? If you have more people going into agriculture, big-time agriculture, a lot of people are also going to go there. They'll create more jobs. So government must put more incentives in place in order for people to ride on. Government must bring land as capital support for people, and they must also use this concept. We used to have the IITA thing and all of that.
We still have it, I guess.
We still have it. Now, if you want the young graduates to come into farming, establish the farmland, pitch them to it, teach them, mentor them, then remove the support so they can move on like a kite. You understand? The kite philosophy must be put in place now. You don't give people land, give them some fund, and tell them to go and experiment. They will collapse the system. But you must use the kite. That kite guide system is what we need now to create more jobs.
I wonder if you, Barrister, shared the same sentiments with him in terms of there is the ease of doing business, because earlier when we spoke to some of our guests, farmers can't easily access loans because of the kind of collateral, and that is what you hear from most Nigerians who are in business. So I would want you to talk to us about what kind of infrastructure that you would like to see the government put in place this year to ensure that the ease of doing business is really easy for people to do business in Nigeria.
Access to funding is critical. Then your tax policies must be business friendly. And if you agree with me, right now we have a lot of tough times in terms of tax, particularly with the proposed increase in value-added tax and stuff like that. Then electricity is crucial. Nigeria is highly productive at the primary level. But how do you process these products? All right. Again, security is very, very important. We are diversifying. But there are those who are killing the farmers. All the farmers are not privileged to have a retinue of security people following them around. it's discouraging, even for the young ones. Like Honorable mentioned, I said it at a time, that can this government set up what we call farm sites where young graduates can come. They have their self-contained, if you are still single, but you have your buttery, like you have a campus, you can go and watch your Arsenal. We invest in mechanized farming, we attend to local needs and begin to export. Is it not amazing that even though we have shut our land borders to rice, we still see a lot of foreign rice within the system, and we see less of our own produced rice? So let's focus on developing this country. And I'm particular about one thing. Let us remove our regional sentiments. What Paul Kagame did in Rwanda was to call the people together. That now we have seen the foolishness of fighting like adversaries. Can we test the beauty of collaboration? Let's forget about ethnicity.
Is that
Let's
possible?
move this nation.
Knowing the kind of bias Nigerians have towards
Bias,
ethnic and religion.
bias is learned. And in HR, in management, you can unlearn. If there are 109 senators in Abuja and they are living peaceably, maybe because of the juicy committees and the allowances,
Perhaps.
it's possible for Nigerians to live together.
Right.
It's a function of leadership.
I agree with
Nelson
you.
Mandela tried it in South Africa. A man that spent 27 years in prison gained, liberty from apartheid and called his own people. He should have come out with vengeance. He said, no, let's collaborate with the whites to move this nation forward. So our leaders must begin to discuss our unity now. I have not seen us united enough to maximize our resources.
I totally agree with you, Jide, because the point there is, when a Nigerian goes to the market, he doesn't determine who is the seller of the rice I want to buy. Is he from the other side of the country, or is he from this side, or from my side of the company, or my side of the country? He just goes and buys. So I think we can see things from that window. Now, as we round off gradually now, Ayodele, what are your hopes and fears for 2020?
My hope is that opportunities, a lot of opportunities would prop up. My fear is that Nigerians should see beyond the pains now and look at it that, okay, within this milieu, how can we convert our pains to gains? Because you talk about poverty. In the midst of poverty, there's prosperity. You are looking at poverty, people are looking at prosperity. So it depends on the side of the prism that you're looking at. You're looking at the fact that, our people are not well educated. In medieval times, people were still prosperous without conventional formal education. I'm not saying that we shouldn't educate our people, but let us look at the pain and turn it to gains.
Okay. All right, Barrister, your final words. What are your hopes?
2020. And the Chinese say the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. My address to our leaders is that, can we please discuss this aspect that we have been evading, our unity? When you see a united country, you see prosperity. United States of America, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates. So let's deal with what is dividing us. And let's stop spending our money on weakness. Meaning a commission of disaster management. We have turned to a terrorist nation. We have turned to a war-torn nation. You don't spend your resources on your weakness. You strengthen your strength. You innovate. You manage strategically, not by default. And prosperity is attracted. The prosperity will come. So we are hopeful. And Nigeria will rise and shine.
All right.
Best wishes and Happy New Year.
So the best time to plant that tree is now. We'll plant the tree right now. Thank you very much. Jide Ologun, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you. God bless
Ayodele Adewale, thank you very much. I will look forward to a wonderful year ahead. And we'll keep saying Happy New Year. Maybe until the day runs out, and then from tomorrow we'll start getting used to it.
Used to it. Okay. It is 2020.